Did you know that only 1 in 5,000 people in developed countries live to see their 100th birthday? Yet in certain regions of the world, the so-called blue zones, people routinely live past 90 with remarkable health and vitality. What's their secret? After 25 years studying longevity and treating thousands of patients, I've discovered something shocking. It's not just what you do that determines your lifespan. It's what you avoid. The daily habits silently sabotaging your chances of joining the 90-plus club might surprise you. They're not the obvious villains you're thinking of. Today, I'm revealing 5 everyday habits that virtually guarantee you won't make it past 90. Habits many health professionals won't tell you about because they're too focused on treatment rather than prevention. By the end of this video, you'll have actionable knowledge that could add decades of healthy living to your life. This isn't speculation, it's backed by groundbreaking research from Harvard, the National Institute on Aging, and my own clinical practice. Let me be clear. Longevity isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. The strategies I'm about to share don't just help you live longer. They help you live better, with more energy, clarity, and joy well into your later decades. And in a world where healthcare costs are skyrocketing, this information has never been more valuable. Let's start with daily habit number 1, inflammatory eating patterns. We've all heard that diet matters, but what most people don't realize is that when you eat might be just as important as what you eat. The average American eats across a 15-hour window each day, from early morning coffee to late-night snacking. This extended eating pattern never gives your body a chance to enter cellular repair mode. The science behind this is fascinating. Your body has an internal cleaning crew called autophagy. It's like having millions of tiny janitors that sweep away damaged cells and proteins, but they only clock in when you're not actively digesting food. Research from the Salk Institute shows that confining your eating to a 10-hour window or less reduces inflammatory markers by up to 40%. What does inflammation have to do with longevity? Everything. Chronic inflammation is the common denominator in virtually every age disease, from Alzheimer's to heart disease to cancer. I had a patient named Margaret who struggled with joint pain, brain fog, and chronic fatigue at 62. Standard medical tests showed nothing alarming, just the normal signs of aging. When she implemented time-restricted eating, limiting her meals to an 8-hour window, the transformation was remarkable. Within 3 months, her inflammatory markers dropped by 38%, her joint pain diminished, and she reported mental clarity she hadn't experienced in years. "I feel like I've turned back the clock a decade," she told me. To implement this in your own life, start by tracking when your first and last calorie consumption happens each day. Then gradually shrink that window. Begin with 12 hours, then work toward 10 or even 8. The specific hours matter less than the duration. Find what works for your lifestyle. Remember, your morning coffee with cream or sugar counts as breaking your fast. Black coffee or plain tea doesn't trigger the same digestive response. Imagine waking up each morning with joints that don't ache, a mind that's sharp, and energy that carries you through the day without crashes. All from simply adjusting when you eat, not necessarily changing what you eat. If you're finding value in these insights so far, hit that like button and share in the comments which of these habits you suspect might be affecting your health. Your experience could help others in our community. Daily habit number 2, chronic sleep disruption. Now, you probably know sleep matters, but what most people don't realize is that inconsistent sleep schedules are just as damaging as not getting enough hours. The average person's sleep schedule varies by over 90 minutes between weekdays and weekends, what sleep scientists call social jet lag. The reason this is so destructive is that your body runs on circadian rhythms that regulate everything from hormone production to cellular repair. When these rhythms are constantly disrupted, your telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA that function like an aging clock, shorten more rapidly. A groundbreaking study in the journal Sleep showed that inconsistent sleep patterns accelerated telomere shortening equivalent to adding 4 biological years, regardless of total sleep duration. I worked with a 57-year-old executive named James who prided himself on needing only 5 hours of sleep during the week, then catching up on weekends. his health markers told a different story. His biological age testing showed he was functioning at 68. After implementing a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking within 30 minutes of the same time daily, his biological age markers improved by 7 years in just 5 months. To stabilize your sleep schedule, start by setting a consistent wake time, even on weekends. Your bedtime will naturally adjust as your body recognizes the pattern. Create a wind-down ritual that signals to your brain that it's time for sleep, perhaps reading, gentle stretching, or meditation. And most importantly, eliminate screen exposure 60 minutes before bed. The blue light from devices suppresses melatonin production by up to 50%, making quality sleep nearly impossible. Imagine how different your life would feel if you woke up naturally at the same time each day, refreshed and alert without an alarm. That's not a luxury, it's your biological birthright when you work with your circadian rhythms instead of against them. The third daily habit secretly sabotaging your longevity. Chronic dehydration combined with sugary hydration. Did you know that 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? But here's what's worse. Many are replacing water with what I call anti-water, sugary drinks that create a net dehydrating effect while spiking inflammation. What most people don't realize is that even mild dehydration, just 1–2% below optimal, reduces cognitive function by up to 30% and increases cellular aging markers significantly. Every biochemical reaction in your body depends on water, including the processes that repair DNA damage and clear waste products from cells. A study from the University of Connecticut found that chronic mild dehydration correlates with a 59% increase in bladder cancer risk and substantial increases in colorectal cancer. Meanwhile, research from Harvard found that replacing just one sugary beverage per day with water reduced heart disease risk by 23%. One of my patients, Diane, tracked her beverage consumption for a week and was shocked to discover she was drinking only 16 ounces of water daily, while consuming 48 ounces of coffee, soda, and sweetened tea. Her skin was prematurely aged, she suffered from constant headaches, and her kidney function was declining. After gradually increasing her water intake to 80 ounces daily and eliminating sugary drinks, her kidney function improved dramatically. Her chronic headaches vanished, and colleagues commented that she looked years younger. To transform your hydration habits, start by calculating your minimum water needs. Take your weight in pounds, divide by 2, and that's how many ounces you need daily. Create a visual trigger system, perhaps a marked water bottle that helps you track consumption. And, crucially, front-load your hydration. Drinking 16 ounces of water immediately upon waking rehydrates you after overnight water loss and jumpstarts metabolism by up to 24%. Imagine moving through your day with sustained energy, clear thinking, and knowing that every cell in your body has the hydration it needs to function optimally and repair efficiently. This simple habit alone could add years to your life and significantly improve your quality of living. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, type longevity in the comments below. I read every comment and love connecting with you. Daily habit number 4. Seated immobility syndrome. The average American sits for 10 to 13 hours daily between commuting, working, and leisure time. But what most people don't realize is that prolonged sitting activates a cascade of metabolic changes that accelerate aging, even if you exercise regularly. The science here is alarming. When you sit for more than 60 minutes without movement, your body begins to shut down a critical enzyme called lipoprotein lipase that clears fat from your bloodstream and delivers it to your muscles. Meanwhile, insulin sensitivity drops rapidly, creating the perfect conditions for metabolic dysfunction. A landmark study in the Annals of Internal Medicine found that people who sit for 8+ hours daily had a 59% higher risk of death from any cause compared to those who sat less than 4 hours, regardless of exercise habits outside those sitting hours. I had a patient named Robert, a programmer who exercised vigorously for an hour each morning, then sat for 10+ hours at work. Despite his morning workouts, his metabolic markers were deteriorating yearly. We implemented what I call movement snacking, movement every 45 minutes throughout his workday. After just 6 weeks, his insulin sensitivity improved by 27%, and his inflammatory markers dropped significantly. To combat seated immobility in your own life, set a timer to move every 45-60 minutes. The movement doesn't need to be strenuous. Standing and stretching, walking to refill your water, or doing 20 air squats all suffice. Consider a standing desk that allows you to alternate positions throughout the day. And perhaps most importantly, break the psychological link between leisure and sitting. Could your family time include a walk? Could you stand while watching TV? Could phone calls become walking meetings? Imagine maintaining your physical abilities well into your 80s and 90s, being able to play with great-grandchildren, travel without limitation, and maintain independence that so many lose simply because they spent decades sitting too much. The fifth and final daily habit that's robbing years from your life: chronic stress without recovery. Now, stress itself isn't the problem. It's sustained stress without adequate recovery periods that ages you prematurely. The modern human exists in a near-constant state of low-grade fight-or-flight response, with cortisol levels that never fully return to baseline. What most people don't realize is that chronic elevation of stress hormones causes tangible physical damage. It shrinks the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory. It thins the prefrontal cortex where decision-making happens. And perhaps most alarmingly, it literally unravels your DNA by shortening those telomeres we discussed earlier. A groundbreaking study from the University of California found that people with high-stress lives but poor stress management showed cellular aging equivalent to adding 9 years to their biological age, compared to those with similar stress levels but effective recovery practices. I worked with a high-achieving attorney named Sarah who performed at exceptional levels but showed signs of advanced biological aging at just 42. Her cortisol rhythm was completely flat, elevated morning to night without the natural decline that should occur. We implemented what I call stress circuit breakers throughout her day, brief but effective reset practices. After 4 months, her cortisol rhythm normalized, her blood pressure dropped by 14 points, and colleagues commented on her improved presence and focus. To implement stress circuit breakers in your life, identify your personal stress signatures. The first signs that your system is activating. Is it tension in your jaw, shallow breathing, racing thoughts? Once identified, you can intervene before stress cascades. Simple practices like box breathing, inhale for 4, hold for 4, 60 seconds, meditation breaks, or even brief exposure to nature can reset your nervous system. The key is consistency. Small interventions many times throughout the day, rather than one long session. Imagine moving through life's inevitable challenges with resilience, knowing that stress flows through you but doesn't stay with you. Imagine your body not bearing the scars of every difficult meeting, traffic jam, or worry about the future. This capacity alone can add quality decades to your life. Let's take a moment to integrate what we've covered. 5 daily habits that dramatically accelerate aging and reduce your odds of reaching 90+ with vitality. By addressing inflammatory eating patterns, regulating your sleep schedule, optimizing hydration, breaking up seated immobility, and implementing stress circuit breakers, you're not just adding years to your life, you're adding life to your years. What strikes me most in my work with patients is that small, consistent changes yield remarkable results. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start with the habit that resonates most with you. Master it, then move to the next. The compounding effect of these adjustments creates exponential benefits for your longevity. Remember that longevity isn't just about avoiding disease. It's about creating a life of sustained energy, mental clarity, emotional balance, and physical capability. The choices you make today echo decades into your future. I'd love to know which of these 5 habits you'll focus on first. Share in the comments below, and let's support each other on this journey toward vibrant longevity. If you found value in this information, please hit the like button and subscribe for more evidence-based health insights. Until next time, this is Dr. Estwire reminding you that how long you live is important, But how well you live those years matters even more.